Bitcoin continues to be stuck inside a trading range, currently finding support on the 50 EMA and resistance at the point of recording is on the 50 SMA. So for context, guys, the 50 EMA, the support line at the moment is 42,777 and the resistance at the point of recording is 42,960. Now, considering our positioning on our stochastic RSI and basically we're still looking for a little bit more of a move to the downside, I expect us to be testing out that 50 EMA again. If we do, of course, lose the 50 EMA, we do have our 200 EMA acting as support, which is also coinciding with our lower trend line here, coming in at 42,488. I would expect a bounce to occur if we were to lose this 50 EMA from our 200 EMA, where we'll be looking for that upper trend line. That upper trend line has been tested a couple of times so far, so we'll be looking at this as a potential test of the trend line as resistance, and from here we could potentially start to talk about more of a move to the downside. As I was talking about yesterday's video, my expectations are a big break out of this range to the upside once we actually kind of see this kind of finishing off. This is because this is known as a continuation pattern. Okay, so we have the move to the upside, we continue going sideways in this range, and we'll be looking for that breakout to the upside. Okay, this will basically allow us to see this as a bit of a breakout with a move upwards, taking out probably around that kind of $45,000. That's going to be my target, as I have been kind of targeting out 45K for a fairly long time at this point in Bitcoin in the 2024, right? So I had been talking about and continue to talk about the potential moves for this little relief rally that we had since hitting 38K up towards kind of 45, 46. In fact, I didn't actually think we were going to be dropping down as low as 38K before we had this move. The move downwards actually allowed us more of a spring. So we actually have the ability now to hit $45,000, $46,000. So on our 1 hour time frame here, you can kind of see we are still coiling up in this move. I don't think it is yet complete. Now, if I go ahead and throw on smart money concepts here, you can see that equilibrium is right on this upper trend line. This is the area of major resistance at the moment. This is where the supply is coming in and lots of selling pressure. Okay, so this is why we keep finding ourselves rejected. Now, the more that we test this range up here of equilibrium, which for context, guys, I'll go ahead and draw in a little yellow box on top of this. It comes in at approximately $43,500 to $44,029. Okay, so this little range right in here is currently acting as our supply. Every time that we come up and test this range, essentially what that's doing is it's chewing through some of those sell orders. And the more we test it, the more likely it is that we're going to get that breakthrough situation. Now, just because I do think we are likely to break through equilibrium, we're likely to have a breakout situation here, you can see some fair value gaps that I think are likely to get tested out and filled out. The moves upwards here wouldn't be straight lines. I don't expect us to go straight up all the way up there. Instead, what I would expect to happen would be a breakout of this area, a retest of it, and then additional breakout, taking out those fair value gaps as well. So the higher fair value gap coming in right up here, I'm going to draw this little yellow box in at 44,675 to 45,537. Okay, so this is going to be kind of where my expectations are on BTC on these smaller time frames. We're going to be looking for a little bit of volatility. We're going to be looking for a few bounces, and we're going to be taking out this area here. Now, one of the things that I do think is likely to hold is the 48,969. I'm not looking for that to get broken. What I am looking for, though, is to fill out these fair value gaps to have this three-wave structured point to the upside, the breakout from the continuation. So WXY, for example, this big kind of three-wave structure point with the continuation pattern breaking out to the upside, taking out the fair value gaps on smart money concepts. Once complete, though, that would be a B-wave structure complete, or yeah, I'll call it a B-wave structure. So we'd have an A down here, a B up here, and then a breakdown more towards kind of $36,000, $35,000. That there is another key area for Bitcoin's price action. Okay, so we will be looking for that to move on down over time. Okay, now with all of this going on, from smart money concepts, Elliott wave theory, all these kind of good things, we can also see that there's a bearish structure here. This move to take out these fair value gaps is very unlikely to change this. I could be wrong. We might find ourselves with another change of characterization up here before we move on down, but ultimately my expectations will be that we just take out those fair value gaps. We then move on down. Once we lose this low down here, we'll have a BOS, which will be basically a break of structure to confirm our change of characterization over here, which will confirm our bearish move. Obviously, we'll know ahead of time as to whether that is going to be the case or not, but that's going to be the expectation on smart money concepts here on the 1 hour time frame. Now, when it comes to our stochastic RSI, we can see that we are correcting down. We've still got room on that. That's not a problem. Our divergence indicator has shown us with some bearish divergence. I think that's already played out very briefly. Yeah, we saw that little move there. So that's basically that bearish divergence on the 1 hour. Nothing else really flagging up here, but I am going to be looking for some bullish divergence, hopefully with a bit of luck. Ultimately, volume profiles, we are right inside this little sweet spot. We will be looking for a move upwards, in my opinion. If we can't and we do lose down there, lose this continuation pattern, there is a little bit of pocket of volume down on that previous low. That's going to be quite interesting to see how that plays out. But all in all, yeah, I'm pretty confident in the moves to the upside here for BTC, but you know, anything is possible at the end of the day. Let's bring this up into our daily time frame, right? So the daily time frame you can see here is really fighting around with the 50 daily EMA and the 50 daily SMA. Okay, at the moment we're trying to find support on the 50 SMA, but I don't think this is likely to hold out all too much longer. So like I said, I'm expecting that kind of move upwards a little bit, right up towards kind of $45,000, that kind of stuff. But ultimately, I think we're going to break on down quite big here. Now, our stochastic RSI on our daily time frame is in the overbought range, but we are finding support at the moment on that 50 SMA, as I was saying. So until we kind of lose the 50 SMA, lose the 50 daily EMA, which the 50 EMA, by the way, guys, comes in at 42,157. The second that we kind of lose this, that's really where I think we're going to start to see bigger drops to the downside. At the moment, over the last week or so, the 50 EMA has been a good support for us, where the 50 SMA is kind of just dancing around with the idea of both being resistance and support. And obviously we do have this area just up here at the 43,333 to 43,882 being our heavy area of resistance. So obviously we do need to chew through a lot of those sell orders. And I said yesterday, right, we are basically sandwiched between the low at 41,884 to 42,580 and that high range, those two yellow boxes. We're basically just bouncing between the two in this ranging market. Okay, those wicks can obviously be going into both of these, where you have buying pressure at the bottom and you have selling pressure at the top. Okay, so basically all the bodies of the candles are in between the two, and the wicks are tapping into both sides of that argument. Basically, it's a ranging market. We don't like trading ranging markets because we want to be capitalizing in on those bigger swings in the market rather than just kind of trading between those 2 points. It's possible, of course, on the smaller time frames to take advantage of that, but ultimately we're really looking for the bigger moves in the market. On our daily stochastic, you can see here we finally saw a bit more of a move back to the upside. On the yellow line, that is the stochastic RSI. The white line is the average, and so we're now back above the average of the stochastic RSI here. So this here is showing us that momentum is still kind of supporting a bit of a brief move to the upside. So don't be too surprised if we do see $45,000 before we collapse on down. I think both scenarios are highly likely. Take that off, throw on the divergence indicator. The RSI, the relative strength index, is just above that midline at 50, indicating that we are still more bullish than we are bearish from a momentum point of view, but it can go in either direction. There's no divergence indication here either, no hidden bullish, no hidden bearish, nor bullish or bearish divergences to be seen on the divergence indicator. Basically, this one's going to be a problem with the ranging market. The market will eventually decide between the bulls and the bears as to which way that's going to go. And I think we can see momentum shifting in either direction on the RSI. The stochastic RSI shows us with momentum more likely to shift to the downside. So the higher probability range here is a negative price move for BTC. So let's take that off and throw in the volumes. You can see here volume profiles have been dropping down as we've been in this ranging market. This gives me confidence in thinking that we are likely to see that small push up to 45 before we drop on down. But again, we'll keep a close eye on the volume profiles as well as everything else. So on the daily time frame, yeah, we're still pretty much in the same position as we were in the last kind of week or so, just ranging sideways. Take this up into our weekly time frame, and here you can see on a larger scale the problem that Bitcoin has faced. Right, we got rejected on the 786 at that $48,000, which is just short of the 50,786 area here. You can see that we have failed to close a single weekly candle above the 702, 44,199. So this is a problem. The 702 is being resistance unless the bulls are able to close a weekly candle above 44,199. I'm still going to look at this as a ranging market stuck between the 618 and the 702, and ultimately we are bearish on the market for the time being. Now the stochastic RSI on the weekly time frame has completely reset to oversold. So unlike the daily, which is overbought, or the monthly, which is overbought, the weekly is actually down here in the oversold area, but it has only just got here. It hasn't actually, bottomed out yet. It hasn't crossed more bullish with its smoothing of the K line, which is the white line. And whilst the yellow line remains lower than the white line, we are still bearish on the weekly time frame, even though it is oversold. So we are going to be keeping an eye on a cross here for this one. It can, of course, be down in this oversold area for a very long time, and it can crisscross with a smoothing line as we had seen in March of 2021 down to the lows of June 2021 before we actually got a bit of a lift to the upside. So for context, guys, this kind of move where we were down in this oversold area for quite some time was this move here, where we had this run to the upside and then we saw this collapse down on the Coinbase IPO, that sell the news event, which is obviously where we are right now with a sell the news event on the Bitcoin spot ETFs, right? So the Coinbase IPO, we were basically crashing down whilst we were oversold, and here we are, of course, heading down to the oversold area whilst we have the Bitcoin spot ETF news, and of course we can continue to be down here for quite a while. What we want to kind of be really crystal clear on is that the momentum indicator that is the stochastic RSI is not a direct representation of price. It is only a representation of the momentum behind the price action. Okay, so what we want to bear in mind here is that if there is less of an appetite to buy Bitcoin, then we're going to remain in an oversold area. Okay, it's only going to track the participants. It's going to track the behavior of the people buying and selling Bitcoin. So if there's just a continuation of selling pressure, then we're just going to stay in oversold, right? And so we want to be very aware of that. On the weekly time frame, I'm hoping that we can actually just get a retest down here at this low level. This is a previous area of support that turned to resistance and is yet to be retested. This is 30,000 to 31,000. Okay, this would basically be a retest of the 50% fib level on the charts as well, and would be a great place for Bitcoin to kind of find great support before actually going up into its next big run and into new all-time highs. If we can't do this, then I do think we're going to have stunted growth and we're going to have a correction at a later date that potentially hurts a lot more people. So ultimately, I am just hopeful that we can correct down here, get it over with in the first quarter of 2024 so that we can move on in 2024 into more bullish times. I'm going to leave the video there, but why don't you check out this video here where I'm discussing some altcoins that I think are going to perform incredibly well this year.